You're not broken, but you will be if you don't do these 5 things. Let me tell you what nobody talks about in the C-suite. The executives who burn out aren't the weak ones. They're not the ones who couldn't hack it. They're the brilliant ones who were so good at holding it together that they didn't notice they were falling apart. You must know the signs. The 4 a.m. anxiety spiral, the brain fog in meetings where you used to be razor sharp, snapping at people you care about over nothing, rereading emails 3 times because the words won't stick, and the terrifying part, you've normalised all of it. You've just told yourself it's what leadership costs. Well, here's what I know. Right now in this moment, you're not broken. You're still performing, still delivering and still showing up. But you're operating on borrowed time, running stress on hormones that were designed for short-term survival, not sustained executive performance. And if you don't change what you're doing, you will break. Not might, will. I've worked with many executives and I can tell you exactly what happens. Stage 1, you're performing brilliantly, but it's costing you everything. Stage 2, the cracks start showing. Decision making slows, clarity fades, doubt creeps in, and then stage 3, your body forces you to stop. Health crisis, relationship breakdown, performance collapse. You're not broken, but you will be unless you do these 5 specific things that come up now. Not generic wellness advice, not practice self-care platitudes. 5 concrete strategies designed for people operating under high stakes, high complexity conditions. Over the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to show you exactly what those 5 things are. So the first thing you need to do is recalibrate your nervous system. Here's what is actually going on in your body right now. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between a genuine threat and your overflowing inbox. So it's treating everything like a crisis. You're stuck in permanent fight or flight mode, running on cortisol and adrenaline 24/7. So it's not about stress management as such, it's about biology. When your nervous system is dysregulated, 3 things happen. When your nervous system is dysregulated, 3 things happen. First, your decision making deteriorates. The prefrontal cortex, where your strategic thinking lives, literally goes offline under chronic stress. Second, your emotional regulation crashes. You become reactive instead of responsive. And then third, your body starts breaking down. Immune system, cardiovascular system, digestive system, everything suffers. I know what you're thinking. How do you recalibrate? Well, not with meditation apps and bubble baths. Those can help, but you need to understand your personal stress signature. How does your body uniquely respond to overwhelm? What are your specific warning signs? Then you need to learn to create genuine physiological calm. So now you can see why I talk about ADHD friendly. A lot of these symptoms that you're seeing with executive burnout are very similar to the symptoms you see with ADHD. It means activating your vagus nerve through specific breath work, not just deep breaths. Strategic movement that discharges stress from your body. Understanding your nervous system states and learning to shift them intentionally. Most importantly, you need to rebuild what I call recovery capacity, your ability to bounce back from stress, not just endure it. Because the truth is, you can't eliminate stress at the executive level. The complexity is real. The stakes are real, but you can train your nervous system to handle it without breaking you. Remember, you're not broken, but you will be if you keep running on a dysregulated nervous system. The second thing we need is Okay, so the second thing we need to do is to restructure your decision architecture. Because you're making thousands of decisions every single day and each one depletes your mental resources. So by 2 o'clock, you're kind of running on fumes. By the evening, you have nothing left for the people and things that actually matter. And it's the executives who sustain performance. They aren't making fewer decisions, they're making fewer kinds of decisions. So here's what this means practically. You need to identify your highest value decisions, the ones only you can make. And everything else needs a system, a framework, or a delegate. Not someday, now. You can start by tracking your decisions for 1 week. Every decision. You'll be horrified at how many decisions that should never reach you are consuming your cognitive capacity. Then create what I call decision modes. Protected time and space for your most critical thinking. This means blocking specific times for strategic decisions when you're at peak cognitive capacity, creating frameworks and criteria for recurring decisions so you're not starting from scratch, building decision trees that empower your team to handle 80% of what currently lands on your desk. Most executives are drowning in decisions. They haven't designed the architecture for how decisions flow through their organisation. And the bit that nobody tells you is the bottleneck in your organisation isn't usually your team's capability, it's your lack of decision infrastructure. When you restructure this, 3 things happen. Your mental clarity returns, your team becomes more empowered, and you reclaim cognitive capacity for the work that actually requires your expertise. Remember, you're not broken, but you will be if you keep treating every decision like it deserves equal mental energy. Okay, we're on to the 3rd thing. We need to rebuild recovery rituals. So let me be direct. You cannot sustain executive performance without genuine recovery. Not rest, recovery. That's a critical difference. Rest is passive, scrolling on your phone, collapsing on the couch, zoning out in front of Netflix. Recovery is active restoration of your capacity to perform. Think about elite athletes. They don't just rest between competitions, they have structured recovery protocols. Ice baths, massage, specific nutrition, sleep optimization, active recovery workouts. They treat recovery as seriously as training because they understand it's not optional. It's where the actual growth and capacity building happens. And you need the same approach. Your recovery rituals need to be scheduled, not hoped for. They go in your calendar like board meetings, non-negotiable. They need to be multi-dimensional. Physical recovery, sleep, movement, nutrition, mental recovery, genuine cognitive breaks, emotional recovery, connection, joy, purpose, and spiritual recovery, whatever fills your tank at the deepest level. They've got to be proportional to your output. The higher the intensity of your work, the more structured your recovery therefore needs to be. So here's what this would actually look like. So you want a morning routine that primes your nervous system for performance. That means strategic breaks during your day that aren't just checking out, but are actively restoring capacity. An evening protocol that allows your brain to transition out of work mode. Weekend practices that genuinely recharge you, not just distract you from work stress. Most executives that I work with haven't had a genuinely restorative weekend in years. They're resting, but they're not recovering. Their mind is still churning. Their body is still tense. They're not unplugged. They're just not working. And you're not broken, but you will be if you keep confusing exhausted collapse with actual recovery. Okay, so I might have plugged the wrong mic in. Number 4, we're going to redefine your success metrics, because right now you're measuring success by output. The deals closed, the revenue generated, the goals hit. And you've optimized for metrics that are burning you out. The executives who sustain performance over decades measure differently. They track energy quality, not just energy quantity. Are you feeling energized and clear, or are you running on fumes and adrenaline? There's a massive difference between productive energy and anxious energy, but most executives treat them the same. They track recovery rate, not just work rate. How quickly can you bounce back from stress? How long does it take you to shift from high intensity work to genuine rest? This metric tells you everything about your sustainability. They track sustainable capacity, not maximum capacity. You can probably sprint at 110% for a quarter, maybe 2, but can you maintain for years? That's your actual capacity. Everything else is borrowed time. And I've seen that. Here's the shift. Instead of asking, how much can I accomplish? Start asking, how can I accomplish this in a way that strengthens me rather than depletes me? This isn't about lowering your standards. It's about sustainable excellence versus burnout brilliance. And here's what is crucial to this. You need to reconnect to why you do what you do. Every exec I've worked with who was burning out had lost touch with their core purpose. The mission that once fueled them has been buried under tactical demands. What actually matters to you? Not what your board wants, not what your shareholders demand, what drives you at the deepest level. Because when you're disconnected from your purpose, everything becomes exhausting. When you're connected, Even hard things feel meaningful. Remember, you're not broken, but you will be if you keep optimizing for metrics that measure output while ignoring sustainability. Okay, the fifth and final thing is we need to reconstruct your support system. Isolation is the silent killer of executive performance. The higher you go, the fewer people you can be honest with about what you're actually experiencing. You put on the "I've got this" mask so consistently that you start to believe it yourself. You tell everyone you're fine because that's what leaders do. And it's destroying you. You need what I call a performance ecosystem. People who can handle the real conversation, not the sanitized version, not the everything's under control version, the actual here's what I'm struggling with conversation. This includes 3 layers. Professional support, a coach or advisor who understands the unique pressures of executive leadership, someone who's not impressed by your title and won't let you bullshit them. Number 2 is peer support, other executives at your level who get it, not your direct competitors, but people who understand the specific loneliness and complexity of what you're carrying. These relationships are rare and invaluable. And the third thing is personal support. Learning to be honest with the people closest to you about what this role is actually costing, not protecting them from your reality, not being the invincible leader at home too, actually letting them in. Most executives wait until they're in crisis to build this support system. By then they're trying to construct a safety net while they're failing already. Build it now, invest in it now, let people in now. You aren't broken, but you will be if you keep trying to carry the weight of executive leadership on your own. Okay, so let's bring this together. Just to conclude, you're not broken, but you will be if you don't do these 5 things. 1. Recalibrate your nervous system. 2. Restructure your decision architecture. 3. Rebuild your recovery rituals. 4. Redefine your success metrics. And 5. Reconstruct your support system. Here's what I need you to understand. The exhaustion you're feeling isn't a character flaw. The overwhelm isn't a sign you're not cut out for this. The struggle isn't because you need to be tougher. But it also won't magically get better. There's no perfect time to address this. There's only the choice to start. That's what the Reset coaching program is built for. Not generic advice, not platitudes, a structured framework designed specifically for those 5 things, tailored to executives operating under high stakes, high complexity conditions. Because you're capable of extraordinary things. You've already proven that. But you can't keep delivering extraordinary results while operating from a depleted baseline. You deserve to feel energized by your work, not destroyed by it. You deserve clarity, not constant fog. You deserve to lead from genuine strength, not borrowed energy from stress hormones. Right now, you're not broken, and let's make sure it stays that way. The link to learn more about the Reset program is below. Click it before you talk yourself out of it. I'm Rich Forbes-Ritty, the Executive Function Coach.